Good day, and welcome to the Lilly Roddy Show, coming to you from the LRS studios here in Houston, Texas. Thank you for joining me as I talk about the upcoming week of May 21st through May 31st. It's good to have the energies of the cosmic cross finally lessening. I know the energies are getting a little bit easier and people are not as tense. Of course, some people still are. And it's going to be a time of looking back as Mercury goes retrograde on June 1st. Be sure and get all those projects that you want started before that time. Mercury is officially stationary retrograde June 7th, but she'll be slowing down long before then. Mercury will be direct again on July 7th and backed up to normal speed by then. We also have some strong Neptune influences on Wednesday that will want to keep us a little bit low-key despite the active lunar aspects. And if you wish to contact me for a personal session or to connect to our social media sites, you can always contact me at Lilly Roddy Show at AOL.com. My web pages, LillyRoddyShow.com or Lilly Roddy Show on Twitter, Facebook, and Pinterest. Please take a look at any of those pages and connect with us. You can get my forecast there and find out more information as well. So let's have a look at the week of May 25th through May 31st. Sunday, May 25th, the day starts with the moon in Aries, the sign of the explorer. The moon conjuncts Venus at 9:07 a.m. We are feeling all is right with the world this morning. Our morning starts with an enthusiastic spring in our step. Schedule time for coffee with someone special. The moon sextiles Mercury at 10:58 a.m. Our communication skills are working well this morning. We're certainly able to tell others what we need. You will find this is a good time to run those morning errands. The moon is now void of course in Aries from 10:58 a.m. until 4:28 p.m. when the moon enters sensual Taurus. With the moon void of course, keep your afternoon flexibles. After the moon enters Taurus, in the afternoon there are no other lunar aspects for the remainder of the day. So even though the moon is not void of course, we may continue to feel somewhat unfocused. Monday, May 26th. Happy Memorial Day. The moon transits grounded Taurus all day. The moon sextiles Neptune at 6:11 a.m. We are sliding into our mornings easily this morning. The energy of this aspect turns our focus more to our inner feelings so that we won't be paying as much attention to our schedule. In the afternoon, the moon trines Pluto at 4:20 p.m. You will find this is a great afternoon to be really productive while working on whatever project or task is at hand. On a personal level, this can be a time when you're really connected to your own sense of power and self-worth. Tuesday, May 27th. The moon resides in slow-moving Taurus for almost the entire day, and she becomes void of course before most of us will even start our day. The moon opposes Saturn 2:54 a.m. If you're awake, this aspect indicates a good time to be focusing on the realities of life and looking for solutions that give us better boundaries. Be careful not to be too negative. The moon sextiles Jupiter at 4:10 a.m. If you're awake, you're feeling more optimistic about the overall outcome of your life with this nice connection to Jupiter. This is an opportunity for long-term strategic planning, even though, yes, it's occurring at 4:10 in the morning. The moon is now void of course at 4:10 a.m. Luna will be void of course until 11:48 p.m. when the moon enters flexible Gemini. That means the moon's going to be void for most of the day. And yes, this is another one of those days when the moon is void of course for all of the daytime hours in the USA. Catch up on your task at hand and put off your more important meetings and social gatherings until Thursday. Wednesday, May 28th. The moon spends the entire day in multifaceted Gemini. This is a busy day with lots of aspects. Mercury sextiles Venus at 8:58 a.m. This morning, this aspect's energy enhances our ability to ask for what we want in very clear terms. This planetary combination is beneficial for any type of business negotiations, contract negotiations, or working on your own personal relationships and expecting positive results. We will have a tendency to talk more about our own personal needs rather than the needs of others. This aspect, Mercury sextile Venus, is in effect all day. The moon conjuncts the sun at 1:40 p.m. This is the new moon in Gemini. With this new moon in Gemini, we are looking more closely at what our unconscious everyday habits are. For the next month, this can be a time to break some of those bad habits. Our overall energy, of course, may be sort of wonky because of the influence of Neptune, planet of rest and retreat, later in the day. In the afternoon, the moon squares Neptune at 2:03 p.m. We will need a break from the daily grind this afternoon. Try to find some time to yourself or take off early and drive to the beach. We're feeling very emotionally reactive, and we will have a tendency to take everything much more personally. The moon trines Mars at 5:46 p.m. Our energy level picks up a little bit this afternoon, but we're just waiting to get home so that we can retreat. And finally, the sun squares Neptune 6:44 p.m. This is really the aspect that's sort of guiding our day. Since this aspect is in effect all day, this is the energy that is driving us to escape and retreat. Our connection with the psychic realm will be very strong this evening. Some people may want to take some time for spiritual meditation or Tai Chi or indulging in some spirits at your local pub. We will want to turn down the noises so that we'll get some time for inner reflection. If you're a more sensitive type of person, you may feel especially sluggish today. Our ego comes into contact with infinity, and we question our own reality. Keep your plans simple and low-key, and things will be just fine. And finally, the last piece of the day, Venus, planet of love and romance, enters Taurus, her home sign, at 8:46 p.m. Venus is a planet that focuses on our desire needs, our talents, and the traits we look for in relationships. With Venus moving through Taurus, she's much more realistic and practical. Her focus is more in the moment rather than on the bigger scale. Venus will spend about 26 days in her home sign of Taurus before she enters Gemini. Thursday, May 29th. The moon continues to move through indecisive Gemini throughout the whole day. However, she will be void of course for most of the day, about 19 hours. It's a long time. Mercury enters Cancer, the sign that represents family emotions and watery depths, at 4:21 a.m. Mercury only has a brief stay in Cancer before she goes retrograde in early June and retrogrades back into Gemini. Mercury retrograde is right around the corner. Mercury officially goes stationary retrograde on June 7th, but we will be feeling the effects of Mercury retrograde by June 1st. A little bit later in the morning, the moon sextiles Uranus at 4:59 a.m. We are feeling upbeat and good about the day. We can see the bigger picture this morning, and thus we're able to fit the pieces into the puzzle much more easily. After 4:59, the moon is now void of course in Gemini until Friday morning at 9:13 a.m. when the moon enters Cancer. And here we have another long void of course moon period with which you have to deal. Attend to the things that are in front of you and try to stay focused on the things that help and support your day-to-day environment. Friday, May 30th, the moon begins the day, void of course, in scattered Gemini. The moon enters Cancer, the sign of home and family, at 9:13 a.m. At this time, we'll feel a lot more grounded and focused than we really have since early yesterday morning. Emotional security is always a primary concern when the moon is in Cancer. The moon conjuncts Mercury at 10:49 a.m. This is a beneficial time for work, dealing with clients, business meetings, working with your community organizations, or just planning a luncheon at your own home. You're much better at explaining how you feel this morning. The moon sextiles Venus at 1:03 p.m. The energy of this aspect indicates an opportune afternoon for any type of presentation or negotiations of any kind, whether business or personal. We are more willing to listen and to compromise in order to make things easier for the next person. Saturday, May 31st. The moon transits genetically conscious Cancer the entire day. The moon trines Neptune very early, 12:04 a.m. This aspect is best experienced asleep. Otherwise, it can certainly be enhanced by a really nice glass of wine. Later in the morning, the Sun trines Mars, 3:01 a.m. With this aspect in effect all day, this should really help to keep our energy and our spirits upbeat for most of the day. So use this energy to stay focused on your own particular projects and working on them to get them finished. We will not find as many blocks or interruptions to deter us from our course of action. And as I said earlier, remember, this aspect, Sun trine Mars, is in effect all day this Saturday. And our final aspect, the moon squares Mars at 4:29 a.m. This should get us up and out of bed early this morning. We could be a bit scattered and trying to get too much done. Slow down and take your time. The moon opposes Pluto at 10:56 a.m. We are getting to the bottom of things this morning. We're working to expose the real understanding and the unconscious powers that drive us. Be careful that this doesn't develop into a power struggle with someone else. Paraphrasing the Tao Te Ching, no one can be challenged who does not accept the challenge. Otherwise, this is always a good time for cleaning out and throwing away any old crap. The moon squares Uranus at 3:42 p.m. We will want a break in our afternoon schedule at this time. We might even be feeling bored or trapped. Try to find new solutions to old problems by viewing the problem from a different angle or a fresher viewpoint. This is not the time to try to solve the same old problem with the same old solution. And this is a prime time for brainstorming. And now the last aspect of the day, the moon trines Saturn on Saturn Day at 9:39 p.m. We end the day feeling good about what we've done and are looking forward to increasing our sense of safety and security for the future. We are much more laid back this evening and more inclined to do things that are familiar and comforting. Low-key fun. And of course, never take yourself too seriously with a Moon-Saturn aspect. I want to thank you for joining me this week on my show. Please take some time to subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you haven't, it's just right there on the left-hand side next to the screen. I'm always glad to get your questions and comments and be glad to have them on my YouTube channel. And of course, this is the Lilly Roddy Show coming to you from the LRS studios right here in Houston, Texas, reminding you to keep those stars in your eyes. Bye-bye. See you next week.